Before the video starts, I just want to let you guys know that I have some merch available now, just in time for Halloween. Check it out through the link in the bio. Enjoy the stories. I live alone in a small house in Canada. And this all happened about 6.5 years ago. I opened my front door one morning to go and get some groceries and found the strangest thing waiting for me outside. Lying on my doorstep was a small USB flash drive. Almost stepped on the damn thing. Who'd put that there, I thought. It was just your generic USB stick. No label or anything. No way to know who it came from. Well, I did what anyone else would do. Took it inside and plugged it into my PC. The device was full of pictures. In fact, nothing but pictures. Dozens of them. I opened the first one and clicked through them in order. The first few were just shots from around town, general places that I recognized. The fourth image was taken on our town's busiest street. In the image, the street was full of people, but there was somebody in it that caught my attention immediately. Me. The image showed me in amongst the crowd, just minding my own business. Well, this was a small town. Was it just a coincidence that I was in the picture? The fifth image had been taken on the same day. Again, it was taken in our town. Again, I was in it. The photographer was closer to me this time. Whoever had taken these pictures of me, I hadn't noticed them at the time. Next came several more pictures of me in various locations around town. Then, something more chilling. A photo of a house. My house. It was nighttime in the image, and the living room light was on. I clicked through to the next picture. It was another image of my house, this time taken even closer. Through the living room window, you could see me sitting on the couch, watching television. I could tell from the clothes I was wearing that it had been taken the night before. I had no idea that somebody had been outside watching me. I kept clicking through the images on the drive. Photo after photo of me inside my house, taken from just outside my window. Because it was so light inside and so dark outside, I was totally unable to see that somebody was watching me from out there. I couldn't see them, but they could see me, clear as day. Didn't even need to use the flash on their camera. After 20 or so photos of just me inside my house, there came a real curveball. An image taken from inside my hallway. The man, or woman, or whoever was taking these pictures of me, had been inside my house the night before. There were photos of my living room, now lightless and empty, obviously taken after I'd gone to sleep. Photos of my kitchen, of my dining area, my stairwell, and several taken as the unknown person ascended my stairs towards where I was sleeping. My brain started to run wild with thoughts about who had been following me. Had I wronged someone in the past? Said the wrong thing to the wrong guy? Was this just some weirdo who'd decided to target me? Were they armed when they came to pay me a visit? Whatever the case, somebody had come inside my house at night and taken pictures of all of the rooms, including my bedroom. The second to last photo was of me, fast asleep in my bed, totally oblivious to the person in my home. The final image was just of a handwritten note, framed in close-up. The message on it simply read, "Never hide a spare key under your doormat." I've since moved house. This all took place a couple of years back. I was walking my dog through a local park late one night and decided to take a little break on one of the park benches. I sat down and immediately felt something under my butt. It was a USB flash drive, which had either been forgotten or abandoned by somebody. I waited around for maybe 5 minutes to see if somebody would come back and claim it. Nobody did, so I just put it in my pocket. Like I said, it was late at night, so the park's lost and found area was closed. I planned to head back there in the morning before work and hand it over. Maybe the owner might come by and collect it. Probably a student who had some work assignments on it, I figured. As I sat at home, my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to take a quick look at what was on the USB. I plugged it into my computer and checked its contents. Strange. There was only one file on the USB. An Excel file of all things. Some poor schmuck must have lost this thing after its first use. The file was simply titled Little Black Book. Needless to say, I opened the document. It was just a large collection of names, addresses, and numbers. Mr. X, Tudor Hill Drive, 52,750. Mrs. Y, Springfield Avenue, 47,300. Dr. Z, Deacon Street, 52,200, etc. The list ran on and on, probably 40 or 50 names and addresses in total. At least 25 of them had been highlighted in red. The rest were just in black. Strange. Why would someone go through the trouble of making an Excel file with all this information in it, then saving it onto an empty USB as the only file? Were these someone's clients? Someone's friends? I had no idea. And what were the numbers next to each name supposed to mean? They were all in the same ballpark, between 30 and 60,000. I showed it to my wife, and she too was a little perplexed. And I decided to dig a little deeper and look up a few of the names and addresses, just to sate my curiosity, you know. I started with a couple of the names in black. It looked like these really were real people and their real addresses. Okay. Still didn't give any indication about what the numbers meant, though. I looked up one of the names in red. Mr. X. That's when things took a darker turn. Mr. X was indeed a real person, and the address listed was indeed his, but he had passed away a few years back under mysterious circumstances. The same was true of Mrs. Y, Dr. Z, and all the other names listed in red on the document. They'd all perished either under mysterious circumstances or through some sort of unfortunate accident. Starting to worry that this USB might have belonged to someone in the cleanup business, so to speak, I began to put the pieces of the puzzle together and figured I knew what the numbers next to each name meant. They were the amount that the people had been contracted for. This was a hit list. I immediately called up the authorities and handed the USB over to them, telling them where I'd found it and what the information pertained to. They took it from there, and I haven't heard anything else about it since. Had somebody left the USB on the bench intentionally for somebody else to come and collect? Or had it simply fallen out of the owner's pocket? I still don't know. Probably never will. But I'm glad that nobody came by that park bench during those 5 minutes I waited around. It was dark. The park was completely empty. And the owner or collector really wouldn't have wanted that USB to fall into somebody else's hands. Who knows what they might have done. Recently, a buddy of mine was clearing out some old house that had been abandoned for years. While inside the attic, he came across a USB which really stood out to him. Everything else in the house was old and decrepit, but the USB was obviously modern, not from the same time as all the other stuff in there. Like somebody, other than the previous homeowners, had come in and left it there. Hammerman, or one word, was written on it. Nothing else seemed out of place or unordinary. For whatever reason, he decided to pocket the thing and take it home with him. After he looked at what was on the flash drive, he called me up and invited me around to his place. Said he had something I had to see. Now, together, we sat looking at his computer screen as he opened up the USB drive. there was just one large file stored on it. A video. "I need your opinion about what to do, man. I can hardly believe what's on this thing," my friend said to me. I could tell from his tone and expression that although he wanted to show me what was on it, he was also nervous and uncomfortable. "Go ahead, click on it," I said. He obliged. I'll describe what I saw now, but believe me, it's not for the faint of heart. Almost made me lose my damn faith in humanity. The video looked to have been filmed on a phone camera. It was actually several videos, all taken at different times and edited together, like a compilation or highlights reel. It started with a man in the back of a truck. He wore a mask to cover his face. In his hand was a hammer. He's laughing with the guy who's holding the camera, but they were speaking in a language I couldn't understand. It sounded like Russian, but I can't be sure. The vehicle they're traveling in comes to a screeching halt. The masked man quickly opens up the truck's sliding door and jumps out. The cameraman follows closely behind him. Walking alone down some lonely country road was a man, maybe in his early 30s, I'd say. He looked shocked and confused as the masked man ran up to him. Before he even realized what was about to happen, the guy with the hammer lifts it up and slams it down on the guy's head. It was as graphic as you can imagine. The unsuspecting guy drops to the ground and starts twitching. There's a big dent in his head, captured by the cameraman. It was all over in seconds, and the masked man and the camera holder quickly jump back inside their truck, which starts driving off immediately. They laugh along with the driver. The video quickly cuts to another scene of the masked man, again jumping out the back of a truck. This time, there was a middle-aged woman walking along some woody country path. The masked man runs up to her at full speed. She has time to scream, but nothing more. Before she can even raise her arm to protect herself, she's hit in the head by the hammer. She hits the ground. No movement. The men, again, run back to their vehicle and drive off, laughing and joking. There were 7 more clips like that. In each of them, the masked man lunged from the van at some single person who had no idea what was in store for them. He hits them all in the head, and they all drop to the ground, pools of red spurting out of them. The sound of all the thumps from the hammer were enough to make you want to puke. To think that these people just woke up one morning and figured it was just going to be an ordinary day, only for this to happen to them out of the blue, makes you realize how unpredictable life can be when there's maniacs like this out there. Anyway, I don't know exactly what this video was, when it was made, or where it came from, but it seemed to me like a group of madmen who just drove around lonely country roads, looking for innocent people to strike with a hammer. No rhyme or reason to it. I have no idea how it came to be in that abandoned house, nor do I know the fate of all the people in the video. From what I saw, I wouldn't say any of them survived. My friend agreed to call the authorities and give them the USB. As far as I know, nothing's come of it yet. Hope they catch the guy and his accomplices who filmed it and drove him around. Recently, something crazy happened here in Anchorage, Alaska. A USB was found lying in the street by some woman. No idea how it got there, but it probably fell out of someone's pocket. Didn't look to be placed there intentionally. The USB was labeled Homicide at Midtown Marriott. The label wasn't kidding. The USB contained numerous images and videos of a woman's murder. According to the authorities, most of the 39 images showed the lady being beaten and strangled in a hotel room somewhere, then lying face down in a pickup truck. One of the 12 videos on the device showed her being strangled. Using this information, the authorities were able to link the remains of a woman found by the side of the road to the woman in the photos and videos. Though they're very confident that they're the same person, her identity still remains unknown. no one's come forward to ID her. What they were able to find out for sure, though, was the identity of the guy who took her life. The guy who did all this appeared in several of the pictures he took. Guess he was confident he wouldn't be caught out. Not a smart play when you're clumsy with your USB. They were able to link the man in the picture to a guy involved in another investigation. South African Brian Stephen Smith. He was quickly taken into custody. Like I said, this all happened very recently, so we'll see how things pan out from here. A friend of mine has a story about a USB he got hold of. He worked at one of the country's top news stations. That's how it came to be in his possession. He was working behind the scenes and came across a USB that had been placed on his desk. Didn't have a note of any kind and wasn't marked in any way, but he just figured it was from his boss. Some new assignment to get working on. He plugged it into his office desktop. On the USB were a number of MP4 files. They were all simply titled Int 1, Int 2, Int 3, and Int 4. They were all about 5 minutes long. He opened the file titled Int 1. The video was of a man sitting in a plastic chair on a beach somewhere tropical. Maybe Thailand, he thought. It was twilight, the sun just in the process of setting. The man was alone on the beach, apart from whoever was behind the camera, which was unstable and obviously being handheld. It was bad footage quality. It soon became clear to my friend that the int in the title stood for interview, as the videos were simply of the man in the chair answering questions being asked to him by the faceless guy behind the camera. All of the videos were from the same interview session, just broken up into 4 different files. What made these videos so unsettling, however, were the questions being asked and answered. The men started by goofing around like a couple of good friends, laughing about nonsense. Before long, though, the interviewer asked his first question. "So, how many women have you killed since you've moved here?" "Oh man, around 20 or 25 so far. I started losing count when I hit double digits." "Who was your first?" "Oh, just some chick I met at a bar. That's where you find most of them. Easy pickings. They'll follow you anywhere for a few bucks. Took her to a nice secluded spot not too far from here. Should have seen her face when I stuck her with the blade." The man talked at great length about all of these women he'd allegedly slaughtered, and how easy it was to get away with that kind of thing over there. How mutilating other humans on the weekend had become a sort of hobby for him. How you didn't even have to hide the remains particularly well. "Trick is, you only target people who ain't gonna be missed. There's plenty of them over here." The sickest part to my friend was how the guy gave tips about how to literally get away with murder. The video was clearly intended to be a sort of manual for psychos. The men were so casual in the video too, like this was just some sort of game to them. They even laughed about all the gritty details. My friend called over other people from the office, asking who left the USB on his desk. Nobody knew anything about it. He asked his boss. He had no idea either. They figured it was just some sort of prank video sent in by people who wanted a little notoriety. Still, they called up the authorities just to be on the safe side. Gave them the USB. That's the thing though. The whole thing wasn't a hoax after all. The police were able to ID the man in the footage as a guy wanted for a slew of violent incidents that took place here in our home city, mostly against women. They'd been searching for him for a while, but the trail went cold when they found out he had fled the country to Southeast Asia. That's where the videos on the USB were suspected to have been filmed. The Thai authorities got involved with the case to try and track down the man, bring him to justice. So far, they've been unsuccessful. Given his past history, they strongly believe that his confessions on the tape were true. They also believe that somebody had come in and left the USB on my friend's desk as a sort of tip-off. Maybe the guy behind the camera, or somebody involved who suddenly grew a conscience. Sadly, that's where the story ends. My friend never heard anything more about it from the cops. He still doesn't know how that USB came to be on his desk. Nobody in the company said they'd put it there, and there weren't any cameras in my friend's office. He thinks that somebody in town knew the guy in the video, had these tapes of his confessions, and wanted to get the truth out anonymously. Maybe whoever it was thought the news station would report on it. Instead, it just got handed over to the authorities and became a footnote in newspapers that nobody paid much mind to. Got completely forgotten about, so my friend doesn't even know if they caught the guy or not. Hey guys, Lazy here, and thank you very much for listening. Well, I've never seen this topic covered before, so maybe I'm the first to do it. I'm not sure, but I hope you enjoyed the stories anyway. A huge shout out to Robin Mikalsen. He created the thumbnail for this one. Check out his YouTube channel and his Instagram in the bio below, and make sure to tell him that Lazy sent you. He's a huge talent, and he really helps me out, so thanks a lot, bro. I should have another video coming out before Halloween, so this isn't my Halloween special or anything, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and leave any topic ideas you might have in the comments down below. A huge thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon, especially my biggest supporters. Ray Bryce Burton, Marley Wright, Crawford K McDonald, Monica Mendoza, Alex Greensall, Philip Westre, Gina Valera, ProCupidineNata, James Labour, Crazy MaskParade, AnimeWimp, Maricruz Cedano, Victor Javier Fonseca Ruiz, Sarah Ramirez, Sloane Crawford, Mitchell Herrera, Nadine, Darius Saffaie, Joshua Lindsey, DannyElk, Kelly Rocco, Madison Reinhart, Connor Louthan, Kelly Rocco again, Gamm-a, Martin Vatland, Lily Castell, and Kane Harley. Thank you all so much for your support. Anyway guys, that about wraps things up for this one. Be sure to check out my merch, smash the like button or I'll smash you, all that good stuff, and I'll be back again very soon. Until then, you all stay spooky. And remember, the best things happen in the dark.